Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today's video essay, if you could call it that, is about fine motor skills. And I want to tell you guys, I was not blessed with fine motor skills. Mine are bad. When I was a kid and I would throw a football, I loved Roger Staubach, loved Terry Bradshaw. And I could not get that beautiful spiral action. When I threw a football as a kid, it looked like a duck trying to fly with a wing injury. And you knew it wasn't going to stay airborne very long. It was going to go on a crash landing. So you could tell, people are telling you got to put your pinky this way, you got to do this, you got to do that. You're forcing it. Didn't work. Baseball, I don't know why, but the coach had me in the infield, third base, second base. I could hit the ball. But as an infielder, a routine ground ball, for you the hitter, for you, that's a double. Because I would get the ball, it didn't matter if it was routine or if I made a great stop, I would be overcome with so much adrenaline, I would throw the ball like 50 feet above the first baseman's head. So that didn't last too long. For you, that's a double. Should have been an routine infield ground out. That didn't work out too much. Middle school, geometry, compass. Me no good with compass, man. That sharp thing, I was like tearing up paper. I couldn't, trying to make circles. Compass and I weren't getting along. High school. You got to dissect a frog in Mr. Hennessy's class. And your frog is sitting in a giant vat in a barrel of formaldehyde, which, by the way, I never got used to the smell of that formaldehyde. It was like death. And I really hated the frog dissection thing. And all the frogs are floating in that barrel of formaldehyde with a little identification tag so you could go get it. My frog, unlike all the other frogs, was mangled. It was mutilated beyond recognition. It looked like a blob of spaghetti noodles floating in the formaldehyde. It reached the point where Mr. Hennessy just said, "Dude, we're done. We're going to get rid of this frog. You were the first student to ever mangle one of my frogs so badly that now you can't even do it anymore. We're done here. Congratulations, McMahon. You ruined the frog." So my fine motor skills weren't working that well. On Thanksgiving, you don't want to invite me over to carve your turkey, because if you do, it'll be like one of those really violent scenes out of Game of Thrones. And your whole Thanksgiving will be ruined, and it'll be because of me. I fine motor skills. Peanut butter. My family, we only buy natural peanut butter where the oil separates. Whenever I stir it, I have the strength, but the oil sloshes all over the jar, and then I gotta half the oil's gone. I gotta wash the jar under hot water. My wife, in contrast, last night she goes, "I'll do it." She gets an electric beater, she attaches a frother to it, perfectly neat, unbelievable. Speaking of my wife, when she met me over 20 years ago, she looked around my condo in Redondo Beach, and she goes, "Dude, you do not know how to fold towels, man." And she's right. I didn't know how to fold a towel. She looks at my bed. "You don't know how to make a bed." When I would make a bed, it actually looked worse. I should have just not made it, because when I, quote, made the bed, it got actually worse. I don't know how that worked out. She looked at this TV stand entertainment center I made from IKEA. She looks at it and she goes, "Dude, you've inverted everything. Everything's inside out. And the way you screwed it in, I can't even undo it. This is gone. This is going to the dump, number one. Number two, you're not going to IKEA anymore. You're done. You're done with IKEA." So she was correct about that. Last week, bought a computer desk, a gamer computer desk for my daughter. Take it out of the package. There's like 100 pieces to assemble with screws and everything. there's not even any written instructions. There's just the poorly written diagrams, man. A nightmare. For me, it would have taken like 3 days. My wife did it in 20 minutes. I did help. She gave me a screwdriver. She put it together and I would just tighten the screws. So at least I contributed to somewhat. Christmas lights. Christmas lights. Never done it. You know, all my neighbors are up on the roof. They're doing all this Christmas light stuff. Don't know what they're doing. A couple years ago, I tried to put some Christmas lights over a palmetto plant tree in our front yard. And I jabbed my thumb in one of the thorns, and I had an infection for 2 weeks. I've given up on Christmas decorations. That was a nightmare. And so I just want to let you guys know I'm not totally hopeless. In kindergarten, I learned how to tie my shoelaces. My poor daughters, they couldn't do it until the 3rd or 4th grade. So I think they got my lack of fine motor skills. I am the guy in the family who puts the license plate tags on the license plates, and I even carve it up with a razor blade so that a potential thief can't take it off the blade. I do the light bulb changes around the house. The recessed light bulb is pretty tough for me. I'm sweating, kind of like a surgeon doing surgery, but I do the light bulb switches. Not easy for me, actually. I get stressed out doing a light bulb change. Actually, I changed one light bulb and I crushed the bulb in my hand and I cut my hand. There was shattered glass all over the ground. My wife was just shaking her head. Oh my God, that was in my daughter's room. I had to vacuum. It was a nightmare. But I do change the bulbs. Google Docs and Microsoft Word, that little toolbar. I can drag that rectangle to change the indent. It's hard. Takes me a couple times to do it, but I can do it. Trackpads on laptops. I can do a trackpad, don't like it. I feel like I have arthritis when I do it. I just don't like it. Typing. I can type. I learned how to type in high school, though I must tell you, my typing has gotten worse in the last 10 years from middle age. I'm not as accurate, not as fast, especially on a mechanical keyboard. But I love mechanical keyboards because they have that clickety-clack sound. It reminds me of the 1970s when I used an IBM Selectric. So there's that. I can do a lot of stuff around the house. I can vacuum and remove the dust from the, it's like a tank, it's like a bagless tank. Though, every time I remove the dust, I have to like figure it out all over again. I never remember exactly what button I pressed to do that. I do all the battery changes for radios and for remote controls, but that's a challenge because I'm always afraid I'm going to break the little door, the little hinge door, cheap plastic. I'm afraid I'm going to do that. I also uncork bottles of wine with a 98% success rate. Sometimes I will get too many particles of cork in the wine. So there's that problem. Now, I'm not here to ask for your pity or anything, but I do want to tell you it's important to acknowledge your shortcomings in life because it's dangerous not to. Check this out. I've never had a deep fried Thanksgiving turkey in peanut oil. People tell me it's delicious. And I'd love to try it, but I'm not going to do it because of my fine motor skills. My father-in-law, whose fine motor skills are better than mine, he had a fried turkey fiasco a few years ago. I wasn't there, but witnesses told me what happened. He was in the backyard. There's something about water level and ice and something being too cold, the heat and the cold, but to make a long story short, in the backyard, the turkey, it launched like a rocket over the telephone poles, like in the sky. It almost knocked a plane out of the sky. And that was his last foray into fried turkey. I mean, we were going to buy one at Raging Cajun for $100, but it didn't work out. We ended up not buying it. But I do want to try one sometime. It's important to acknowledge your fine motor skills. I'm into watches. For those of you who know me, my neighbor actually put this beautiful bracelet on this citizen here. My fine motor skills are such that I would scratch up a watch. Sometimes my wife does a minor adjustment. Usually my neighbor Joe, the engineer, does it. He's pretty happy right now. He was loving my Captain Willard, and he ended up buying the green Willard on the black rubber strap. He's loving it. I'm flattered. Hey man, he saw mine. All right, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any fine motor skill issues? You guys are probably amazing at it. You're probably going to tell, hey man, I do it all, buddy. So let me know. Until next time, I'm out.